Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei. I'm so excited to paint with you today. Today we're going to be painting another page in our watercolor journals, and I am feeling like some sunflowers today. So we're going to get floral, and this is always a fun one to paint. I love painting sunflowers. They're so beautiful and bright and vibrant with those yellow and orange and brown tones. They're warm. So that's what we're going to do today. I am going to get my palette cleaned out here. I know I should prep this stuff before I turn the camera on. Someday I will learn. So we're going to use just a couple colors. I am probably just going to use, I'm going to use my warm and more neutral, cool-ish yellow. I'm going to use some brown. I'll give you those colors in a moment. Probably raw umber and burnt sienna. And then also, and we'll pull those out, some sap green. And that should give us plenty to work with. Okay, I'll leave that one in there because there's a lot of paint going on in there still. All right, so let's pull out some of our warm yellow. This is a diarylide yellow. A gamboge yellow would be very similar in other brands. This is a cadmium yellow. So a nice light, more on the cool side yellow. We're also going to use some sap green. I'm using my core paints. I happen to pull out my silver black velvet brush. So this is a size 8, and this is my Bao Hong sketchbook, my journal. What other colors did I say? Oh, I said burnt sienna, which is a very beautiful reddish brown, and also some Van Dyke. Nope, some raw umber. Okay, so there are colors. Let's get them. I really like putting them out on my page now. I don't know if I'll do this forever, but I'm going to do it for now. All right, so I'm going to put sap green, my raw umber, which is a much darker, cooler brown, my burnt sienna, which is a much warmer brown, reddish warm brown, my diarylide yellow, again a gamboge yellow would work nicely for this, and lastly this is cadmium yellow in core. You want like a cadmium yellow light hue or a lemon yellow color. So here is our palette, and you know what, I'm going to throw in some Payne's gray for good measure. I'll put in a few details in the center later on with that. So there are all of our colors. All right, so let's draw out a foundation for ourselves, for our sunflower. We're not going to draw out every petal. We're just going to kind of draw the basic shape that we want to work with. And you could do more than one. Maybe we'll do 2. I'm going to draw one. I'm going to have to keep these kind of small because I don't want to run into my little circles up there. All right, so I'm going to draw in a center. I'm going to draw a center in the center, so kind of creating a donut there. This is going to be much darker in here. And then I want my petals to kind of overall come out to here. So I'm just putting in some dots, as you can see around. So that will be kind of the total. I'm not going to draw in all the petals. I'm going to paint them in, but if I were to draw them in, they would be like this long type of thing. Okay. All right. So let's do another one. I'm going to do that one that way. I'm going to do another one kind of facing this way. So I'm going to draw an oval that's kind of flatter on the bottom this way. And then the petals, these are going to be really short here, and they're going to be foreshortened. Okay. So just kind of using this as a placeholder, this bank of petals here. And then these are all going to travel away from the flower. So these are going to kind of come up in front a little bit here. And then this is going to be a little concave here. Okay, so it's facing away. And then we'll put a back stem on it. And this will have a stem down there. All right, so there are our flowers drawn out. And again, I don't like drawing out every individual little petal. I'm going to be doing this kind of in a loose format style. I'm not doing individual petals and shading them and all of that. This will be a much more loose, expressionistic kind of style. Just lightening, especially around where the yellow petals are going to be, just lightening that up a little bit. Okay, so let's start with the center. There'll definitely be layers in this. So I'm going to start, just picked up some of my raw umber, and I'm just going to paint right over the center. Nice layer. And then I'm going to drop in some burnt sienna on the edges there. And I'm going to pick up some more burnt umber. I'm going to put it right in the middle here. And then also some on the edges. This is going to dry much lighter than it is right now. Just blending out some of this. I'm going to leave a little highlight, I think, over here on this side. Okay, so that's going to dry much later. It looks very dark and dramatic right now. Unfortunately, these colors dry very light, and you'll probably have to do at least one more coat on it. All right, so I'm going to start with my lightest color first, and I'm not going to let the center dry. I'm just going to start to paint. I will let my petals touch, and if it bleeds out a little bit, great. I'm not going to make every petal perfect. You can see I'm making some a little wiggly. Some have little jagged ends on them. I'm just going to continue all the way around. And I'm just using the shape of the brush. So the shape of the brush is kind of petal shaped. It's pointed at one end, it gets thicker. So as I press down and lift back up, kind of makes a petal shape. And I'm just using those little dots. I'm definitely going beyond them as guidelines, just to try to keep everything somewhat even. All right, we're gonna let that all dry, and then we'll put on another layer momentarily. We'll start on the other one though. We'll start on our other sunflower over here. All right, so same thing. We're gonna start with the center here. I'm just gonna give it a nice kind of even coat of the burnt umber. Or, I'm sorry, raw umber. I keep saying burnt umber. It's burnt sienna, raw umber. And then with a darker version, we'll put some of that in here. Also a little bit along the edges feel like I should have made this a little bit flatter on the bottom or a little bit more covered up by the petals, but that's okay. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with this bright, bright yellow, except these petals along the side here are going to be almost flat. And then these, as they curl away from us, so these I feel like should have overlapped a little bit more. I should have built that into the shape, but I'm going to make it work. And again, nice and expressive. We don't have to make perfect petals. And I picked up some gamboge yellow or diarylite yellow for this one. I'm just dropping it in while it's still wet. Let's see how that looks. All right, we're gonna let that dry. And we're gonna come back to our first one. All right, so I'm gonna pick up some of this darker yellow, the warmer yellow, I should say. I'm gonna start to add on another layer of shorter petals. Kind of in between. Same thing with these, making sure they're not too perfect. And then I'm going to come back into my center and add this in while some of those areas are still wet. There we go. So putting that darker color around the edge, it helps create the illusion that that's pushing away or going away from us. Adding in some more of the raw sienna, no, burnt sienna, raw umber. And then I'm gonna pick up a little Payne's gray and really get super dark kind of in the center here. Maybe a little bit on this side. There we go. And I'm gonna leave in that highlight there. All right. I'm going to mix some of this raw sienna or burnt sienna with the warm yellow, the diarylite yellow. I'm just going to add in some details with the tip of my brush, some stripes, not stripes, but like some shadows or veining on some of the petals. Even pulling out some of that color from the center there. Kind of outlining some of the edges. And this is, some stuff is still pretty damp in here, so getting some nice soft bleeds. All right, there we go. And we're gonna pop back over to this one. Again, add some of this darker color. Add some of this on the back side here. And then again, kind of go over this with some darker colors. bleed together a little bit. All right, that works for me. Let's add in some green. Well, actually, this has to do a little something with some separation back here. I just used some of the, I don't know that I'm making it better. I'm going to let it dry and then kind of see where I'm at with these. All right, so let's add in some of that beautiful sap green for the stems. Do this one first. I'm going to have it go right up against the flower itself. You can add in some tips of the leaves if you want. Leaves are really big on sunflowers, or these big kind of jagged leaves, making them a little expressive. There's one. Let's add in the other stem, which is going to be like right under this one. You're not going to see too much of it. But we can definitely add in kind of a leaf poking up here. But right off the page. Add in some darker, richer color. There we go. All right, I think we are done with our sunflower. So there we are, two beautiful expressive sunflowers. I would have done these leaves differently, maybe drawn them out a little bit more to change the shape of this, the head of it in here, just to make it a little bit more integrated. But other than that, I'm very happy with them. You could go ahead and add more details, let things dry, use a tiny fine detailed brush if you wanted to separate some of the petals, but I'm really happy with these, how they are. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm Shayna Cersei. Don't forget to check out the description for, what are you checking? Oh, for links to supplies and materials. You can find me on Instagram. And also thank you, a big, huge thank you to my super thanks contributors. You are wonderful. And everyone who leaves a comment and interacts with this video in any way, go ahead and share it with a friend who might like it as well. It's always very helpful to the channel, and I so appreciate it. Thank you all. Take care. Happy painting, and we'll see you for another watercolor journal idea very soon.